with my water here. For those of you that are here for the first time, I just want to welcome you. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope that you get some value out of my channel, if nothing else but entertainment. I'm perfectly happy to entertain you. Just want to welcome you guys back to my channel. For those of you that are returning, I really appreciate all the support. You have no idea how much I love making these videos, and it makes it so much more enjoyable when I have you guys to watch and give me feedback. I just want you guys to know that I see you and I appreciate it. So we're just gonna get started. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I think it's an important topic because it is something that I feel is misrepresented. So just to give you a brief idea of where I'm coming from on this. I am the mother of 2 kids. I have a 1-year-old daughter, Juliana. I have an 11-year-old son, and his name is Julian. I had my son when I was about 22, and I had my daughter when I was about 32. So about 10 years apart. Those of you that are afraid of having a C-section, if you're pregnant right now, or you plan to be pregnant in the future, or you've already been told that you have a likelihood of having a C-section, I just want to put you at ease. I want to comfort you as somebody who has had 2 C-sections. I want to tell you that you have nothing to be afraid of. You have nothing to fear. It's obviously not something that's planned. I didn't plan on having a C-section both times. And I just want to throw out there that in the United States, 1 in 3 women end up having their babies via C-section. And I feel like it is not represented in a positive light, leaving those of us that have our babies that way feeling like our experience is less special than those who have their babies naturally. I had 2 separate circumstances. First C-section ended up being an emergency C-section. My second C-section, she wasn't coming out, and so that ended up being the end result. So when I was 22 years old, I found out I was pregnant with my first child, my son, Julian. The pregnancy went pretty well for the majority of it. It wasn't until around the 3rd trimester that my doctor started noticing some issues with my blood pressure being consistently elevated. There is no clear reason why some women get preeclampsia and some don't. That's essentially what it ended up being. I had preeclampsia and didn't know it. So the day before I was scheduled for my last checkup before he was due, I was out and about and I was not feeling well. I didn't know why. So the next day I went into my appointment and they checked me out, did an ultrasound, told me that my blood pressure was sky high, that my amniotic fluid was basically gone, and that I was going to need to have an emergency C-section like that day. So I get to the hospital, they roll me in there. First thing they do is they give me a spinal. Now I don't know if that is any different than an epidural, but basically it does the same thing. It numbs you. That honestly was not a big deal for me. I never had anything like that before, but they just had me lean over, and all I really felt was a little bit of a prick. Like, it was not painful. It really was not bad at all. They laid me down. They put the sheet up so that you obviously don't see what's going on down there because you don't want to. And she got to work. She got to work. They gave me an oxygen mask, and your partner can sit right on the side of you, and they're all in like scrub gear and all, making sure that it's like sanitary. You kind of just lay there and chill until they get the baby out. Now, the one thing that I did feel that everyone feels is you feel tugging and pressure, but you don't feel any pain. They got the baby out. I heard him cry. They take him to the table, clean him off, wrap him up. They bring him around to you. I got to see him and kiss him and give him a little snuggle. Then they took him away, and then they got to work on getting off the placenta and sewing me up, in which case still felt nothing, just more tugging and pressure. Oh, I forgot. So they do put a catheter in before they start the whole procedure. So that was already done at that point. That was something I didn't feel either. I did notice that as they were rolling me to my room, that I started to feel like my face felt itchy. The spinals and from what I understand, and epidurals can have different reactions on some people. For me, it made my face itchy for some reason. And then when I got to the room, it made me a little nauseous. So I will say that yes, I did feel a little bit nauseous to the point where I thought I was going to throw up, and they brought me like a little bucket and I didn't throw up. It was just like a false alarm. I don't know exactly how long it was. It wasn't too long. They not long after I got to my room, brought my son to me, and basically we started the breastfeeding process and skin to skin and doing all of the things that moms who have vaginal deliveries do. The biggest difference that I found in my experience, other than the surgery itself, was obviously the difference in pain. When you have a vaginal delivery, again, I haven't had one, but from what I have heard and understand, you are sore down there in your lady bits, but you know, you're focused on healing in that area. Whereas when you've had a C-section, you are, you know, your discomfort's coming from your incision scar. Definitely don't do the old school vertical huge incisions anymore. I think, yeah, they don't do that anymore. They basically, they're very low. Mine is here, so it's like basically where your underwear line would be. You can't see it when you're wearing a bikini or anything like that. It's very low and very small, so it's about that big, and that's pretty much obviously what you have to worry about. I couldn't get up to walk for a while, obviously, because I was numb. I was able, I think after a few hours it wore off. I think they didn't let me get out of bed to use the bathroom until the next day. How it felt to me was it feels very heavy and it feels very achy. Once I got to the bathroom, which the nurse assisted me, they put me in there to go to the bathroom so that they could see how much I was bleeding. They put a bedpan there. So you use the bathroom in the bedpan. They just kind of observe to see how much blood's there and give you the lovely, beautiful, big, huge, ginormous pads with the mesh underwear. You go back to bed and you tend to your baby pretty much. The stay is longer, where I think for vaginal delivery, they can be released the next day if there were no complications. For a C-section, I believe it's like a minimum of 3 days. Once the epidural or the spinal wears off, they obviously want to get you painkillers because, you know, you just had surgery. So they give you Percocets. It's like Percocet, a combination of Percocets and some kind of like extra strength Tylenol. My son came out very healthy. The only thing that he had was a bit of jaundice, and my experience in the hospital was very pleasant. It didn't faze me that, you know, I was bleeding. I don't know if the bleeding is more or less. Well, it definitely wouldn't be less. I don't know if it's more than when you have a vaginal delivery. I would imagine maybe a little bit, because they are cutting your uterus. So there probably is a little bit more bleeding involved, but nothing crazy. Other than that, everything is pretty standard. You still get to be with your baby, you still breastfeed, you still do all the things. It is painful, but you know, I feel like a woman's life is full of a lot of physical discomfort. It really does have to do with your mindset and what you have going on in here. If you choose to look at it as a negative thing, as a bad thing, then it will be. Or you can do what I did and just go with the flow. And it's a lot, I think it's a lot better if you just go with the flow and enjoy it despite the fact that, you know, that you're having a C-section. Now with my daughter, again, it was 10 years later, and it was a very different pregnancy. My pregnancy with my daughter was completely healthy from start to finish. There were no health issues. I didn't have the preeclampsia. Once you've had one C-section, there's a little bit of a risk of, they call it, it's like a rupture, where they're afraid that you could rupture where your old incision was if, you know, during the labor process. I ended up not having any issue with that. I know that's very rare for that to happen. I was due to have her January 24th of 2020. And I had gone in for, again, one of my last appointments before I was due to have her. They did a stress test. They just make sure that the baby is still doing well, because at this point, at this point, my due date had came and went. So I didn't have her on the 24th. So they had told me that if you don't go into labor naturally by that time, we are going to look to induce. So what they told me, which is a little weird, I guess she felt the amniotic fluid was a little bit low, which, long story short, later on, another doctor while I was in the hospital was like, your fluid looks fine, but that was after it was already too late. But she ended up wanting to send me in to be induced that day for that reason. Once I got there, they gave me the Pitocin, started the labor process, and nothing really happened. Different doctors kept telling me different things as far as how far I was progressing. I never really knew how far I had progressed, but they tried so many different things to get me to go into active labor. She just was not trying to come out. They finally were like, okay, well, we think that at this point, a C-section is the best bet, because they just didn't really see any signs of her coming out anytime soon. Since I had already had one, I was already very comfortable with the idea. Believe it or not, I was not afraid of having a C-section again. I have to say it was interesting, because this was the first time I ever experienced contractions. Obviously with my son, I never had the opportunity to. With this one, before I got my epidural, which I did end up getting one while I was, being induced, I got to feel contractions. And yeah, all I can say is that was not my favorite. So those of you that have babies naturally, seriously, you are like superhuman, because damn. And pretty much everything went the same as it did with my son in terms of the whole procedure. The only thing that they didn't have to do was give me a spinal. I already had the epidural already there, so I think they just like kind of pumped more medicine in me after they took the baby out, and they, stitching me back up. I did start to feel a little bit of pain because my epidural was starting to wear off, and I had issues with it when I was contracting beforehand. It had come out of the thing in my back, and it kind of messed things up. So I think that has something to do with it, but I let them know. They very quickly got more medication in me, and that was taken care of. So that was the only thing that was a little off, that was weird. And once I got back to the room, again, got to have my baby, breastfeed, do all of the things that, other moms get to do. I will say though that the incision this time was more painful than it was the first time, because I think it's because I already had scar tissue there. So it definitely felt different. It was more uncomfortable. But other than that, everything else was the same. Let's see, is there anything else? I don't want to leave anything out. I don't think so. Everything else, like I said before, is really standard. Everything goes exactly the same way as it does when you have a vaginal delivery. The last thing I want to cover is the recovery process. Now, the recovery time that they told me, 6 to 8 weeks. No sex, take it easy. Obviously don't do anything crazy other than take care of your baby. The incision scar I found is a little tender after the 6 or 8 weeks, but that gradually starts to be less and less until it's no big deal anymore. I found the recovery process to be pretty similar to what it was with my son, actually maybe even a little bit easier. They don't even put like actual stitches in. It's more like the butterfly, they're not like butterfly stitches, but similar. It just kind of hold it together. And then as you start to heal, those dissolve. They don't have to take any stitches out or anything crazy. It just goes away on its own. I know everybody heals differently, but I healed great. Part of the instructions they gave me before I was discharged which was the same with my son, was wear loose clothing. You don't want anything rubbing up against the incision, obviously. When you shower, you don't rub it or clean it directly. The soapy water falling over the incision is enough to clean it. You don't have to do anything. and don't put lotions or anything on it. Basically, just leave it the heck alone. If there is anything that I left out that you would like to know about, please feel free to comment and ask me whatever you want. I will answer every single comment, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions that you have. I just want you to remember that if you have had a C-section or end up having to get a C-section, your experience is just as special and significant as if you had had a vaginal delivery, and I don't want you to feel weird about it or bad about it. Go in there with a positive mindset and enjoy your baby. Enjoy the experience that is really uniquely yours. It's your story, and you have nothing to feel bad about or be scared about. I really hope that this video was informative for you, and I hope that it gave you a little bit of peace of mind. Again, I have been through it twice. You will be fine. You don't have anything to worry about. It's your story. It's you and your baby's story. So just be happy, be positive. I have got to get out of here so I can take a shower and go to bed. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I love doing motherhood related videos. I love doing lifestyle related videos, combining the two. And I also include some coffee related content in my channel because I love coffee. I'm a huge coffee lover, and I think it's just cool to share different recipes and things like that. I'm all for suggestions, so if you guys have any kinds of videos you would like to see from me, let me know. I would love for you guys to give me some feedback. If you like the video, please hit the like button. That really helps my channel grow, and follow me on Instagram. I would love to connect with you guys over there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in my next video. I make videos every Tuesday and Thursday. I used to just do Thursday, but Tuesdays are my shorter videos, either the coffee stuff or just other content that doesn't really warrant a longer video. And this hopefully will be one of the last videos I have to do on my iPhone. I finally got myself an official vlogging reel camera, a microphone, all the good stuff. I have new and improved, like, awesome editing software. So I'm so excited to create new and improved content for you guys. I'm gonna go to bed now and take a shower. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.